Robert Fung. Robert Fung has a really breathtaking plan, a $1.5 billion plan for the radical revitalization, transformation of the waterfront and the harbor lands. Now, he's not the first guy to have thought about this sort of thing. In fact, people have been talking about it for literally generations, but somehow he has the acuity, the connections, the financial muscle, the political muscle to pull together three levels of government and come up with this very practical business plan. I know that his efforts were aided and abetted by the ticking clock of the upcoming decision on the location of the 2008 Olympics. And the question that I want to ask Robert is, what's going to happen to this plan if by chance the headlines are correct and we don't get the Olympics? Robert.
Thank you, Moses. Well, first of all, let me tell you, I can answer that question. I can answer that question with, I think, a great degree of clarity. In fact, I have been assured by the leaders of each level of government that irrespective of what happens on July the 13th, and quite frankly, I'm one of those who believe that the Olympics will come to Toronto, that the waterfront plan will go through. So, and I've been assured of that as late as 2 weeks ago. All of us, at some point in time in our lives, have had a dream. And the dream I want to talk to you about today is not a $1.5 billion dream. It's a $13 billion dream. I, like so many of us Canadians, I'm an immigrant to Canada. And as an immigrant, you follow a dream. It's a dream of a new life, a dream of opportunities. But what really disturbs me, and it disturbs me profoundly, is that once we as immigrants follow that dream, and Canada's made up largely of immigrants, for some reason, we forget how to dream. Well, I have a dream, and it's a $13 billion dream, and that is the dream to try to reconnect Toronto back to its waterfront. And it's a sequel to a dream which really began well over a century ago. Toronto has been trying to deal with this waterfront issue well before the turn of the 19th century. Not the 20th century, the 19th century. We've been trying to revitalize this waterfront. We've been having this conversation on a continual basis. I am not a financier. I am a financier. I'm not an urban planner. And maybe that's the difference this time. I came to Canada at a time when Canada had big dreams for itself and its position in the world. I know that dreams can be economic propositions. And I've learned that countries and cities are the result of bankable dreams. I spent a lifetime financing dreams and visions that make business sense. And that was the job that the Prime Minister, the Premier, and the Mayor of the City of Toronto handed me. And that was to find the business case and develop a business plan for the revitalization of our waterfront. Moses Zema has spent a career showcasing dreams, and in that process, making his own dream come true. We've spent the last 3 days here experiencing the wonderful experiment that is Moses' dream, Idea City. Our minds, our hearts, our souls are crammed with dreams, it's crammed with visions. And it is the convergence of talent and ideas and experiences that have created the kinetic energy, which gives us an almost euphoric sense that everything today, anything today, is possible. To me, at the heart of, as well as the business case for this latest waterfront revitalization effort, was just about what we've been doing here at Idea City and the energy that it creates. I am talking about the creation of a convergence district at the waterfront, serving as a gateway to the city, as well as a portal on a new Canada. I'd like to talk to you about this convergence district within a revitalized Toronto waterfront, and within the context of Canada's and our own need to dream. I'd like you to think about 4 things. Can we afford not to dream? Can we afford the cost of unfulfilled dreams? Can ideas change a world if dreams are not acted upon? And can we agree here in Canada that it is time for us to dream again? After all, dreams are about opportunities. Dreams are about promise. Can we afford not to dream? We're days away from the national celebration of Canada's original dream come true, Confederation. Confederation was about a unifying vision for a new nation. Convergence has the power, or at least the potential, to unite us in a vision for a knowledge-based national economy. Other nations much smaller than Canada have created their 21st century portals. The Toronto Convergence Centre, the Toronto Convergence District, could leverage the innovation and excellence found in our numerous clusters of excellence and turn the city into a knowledge port for Canada and the world. We have extraordinarily strong economic clusters in the city of Toronto. Toronto is the only city in North America that has the head offices of most of the companies, albeit of Canadian companies, in the new economy, in the new media business. In the United States, you go to New York for television, for advertising. You go to New Orleans, Atlanta for magazines, to Los Angeles for the movies, to Boston, to New York, to Houston for biotechnology, medicine, to Baltimore, to Boston, to Philadelphia for newspapers. All, the great majority of these head offices, albeit in the Canadian context, are located here in the city of Toronto. And the head offices of most of the foreign companies that operate in Canada in these areas are located here in the city of Toronto. We're home to advertising, publishing, graphic arts, biomedical, biotechnology. The Greater Toronto Area's information technology and telecommunications cluster is larger than that of Los Angeles or New York. No metropolitan center in the United States has more jobs in pharmaceuticals, medical equipment, and biotechnology than Toronto. Our food and beverage cluster is second only to Chicago. Our media cluster is the 4th largest in North America. Our software industry is among the fastest growing in North America. The Convergence District concept offers a unique live-work opportunity along with exceptional IT and telecom platforms to attract and tap into the creativity and connectivity derived from converging the various clusters into one major economic zone on Toronto's waterfront. Imagine, dream about the kinetic forces of convergence as biotechnology resides with IT and animation and film or broadcast or publishing, music, the arts. It is exactly what we've been talking about here at Idea City for the last 3 days. The Convergence District, as we envision it, is a real Idea City. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Convergence Center dream is about providing a new economic infrastructure. It would be Canada's first knowledge port. Around the world, countries and cities are dreaming and building new smart communities and so-called new economy zones where connectivity and creativity are driving competitive advantages. Ours could be an equal. Canada, not just Toronto, could be a logical and smart harbor for the projected $600 billion of North American internet commerce. 134 years after Confederation, we're not looking at a railway to unite us. There's new infrastructure, such as fiber optics and knowledge clusters, to help us to forge a new national dream on purpose. And Arthur Erickson touched on our lack in Canada today of a new national dream. We need a new national dream. We need a purpose. I do not believe that Canada can be complacent and satisfied with good enough. After all, dreams are about opportunities and promise. Can we afford the cost of unfulfilled dreams? I really believe that, like the well-known lesson in business, that companies don't fail because of mistakes, as much of a lack of commitment. I believe that Toronto will pay a very steep price if it doesn't finally move forward and act upon the recommendation of yet another task force revitalization plan. It is not that we are just falling behind and slipping in a number of key areas, but it is also that inaction creates a vacuum in which other choices are made, and that such choices prejudice a comprehensive, integrated, and strategic development and cause piecemeal choices to reclaim the value in Toronto's almost 2,000 acres of disused and abused waterfront lands. Here in the city of Toronto, the downtown city of Toronto is a financial infrastructure city. The head offices of most of our financial institutions reside here in Toronto. But the dreams and the ambitions of our financial institutions are not necessarily pointed towards Canada. Our financial institutions want to play on a global basis. And the head offices of our financial institutions are going to move to New York. And when head offices move, mind and matter moves with it. And that is an enormous danger that we face here in the city of Toronto. The city of Toronto could easily become a branch plant city. And that is why I say that status quo is a costly option. There is a cost to standing still, as well as a cost-benefit of seizing an opportunity. Let me give you some examples. In the case of the Guggenheim Museum, when the Guggenheim Museum was built in Bilbao, Spain, it increased the gross domestic product of the province of Bilbao by 0.5%. In the case of Barcelona, When the city of Barcelona was revitalized for the 1996 Olympics, it moved the city of Barcelona as a destination in Europe from a 20-something destination in Europe to the third destination in Europe today in the company of London and Paris. Playing catch-up is costly. Lost opportunities are costly. Being left behind the smart cities and intelligent ports being established around the globe could be devastating, not only to Toronto, but to Canada as a whole. We need to find convergent interests, to build consensus, and to focus on what unifies us, and not what separates us from making these dreams come true. Idea City is a tribute to dreams, ideas, and the promise of opportunity. I love this whole Idea City notion. Idea City is exactly what our idea is for the Convergence District in the city of Toronto. It mirrors, it complements the concept of convergence. But I think we should make sure that it inspires us to action. After all, dreams are about opportunities. It is about promise. Can ideas change the world if they're not acted upon? I think that change only occurs when ideas are seized and the dreams envisioned, with the big idea being to have the dreams acted upon. That will change the world. Thinking and dreaming is not enough. It's action that changes things. We cannot be happy as Canadians with intellectual voyeurism. I would like to encourage us all to take some very big steps and to leave some very big footsteps. That in turn will leave a deep impression on Toronto's waterfront and the landscape of this city and of our country. I think that it is time for us in Canada to dream again. Can you imagine the ideas, the energy, the talent, and the impact of Canada's intellectual capital if we made sure that Toronto's waterfront became home to a Convergence District? Sir Wilfrid Laurier dreamed that the 20th century would belong to Canada. We can make sure that the country unites behind a 21st century vision for Canada. That includes knowledge portals for the new economy enterprises. And it can start right here in Toronto. The impetus to ensure that governments and the people of Toronto and Canada say yes and go ahead to revitalize waterfront could be our big idea, and Idea City could be our Charlottetown. We cannot afford the cost of unfulfilled dreams. I think it is time that we dreamed again. And that's my dream. And that's the idea I wanted to share with you. Now let me show you what that dream might just look like. Can we back up and put up the city of Toronto? This is what the existing Portlands looks like today. Dilapidated, unused lands. Lands which have been like this for well over the last century. And this is what our plan focused in on. And the area that I've been talking about is the area to the east, the eastern Portlands. I wanted to share this dream with you. Thank you.